And we're back with Star Citizen, with the Captain's Table podcast, with our After Dark section, or since Darsh is here, After.
I forgot.
Yeah. There we go. After Darsh. Now I got to turn my lights down. Hold on. There you
Your
go.
camera's trying to compensate.
Yes. Or Josephus is, yeah.
It's whatever, man. We're living with it. I've screwed with this camera enough. Okay?
It's
it doesn't
working.
like me today.
So this is where I take questions and answers from the audience, and then we try to answer the best we can. I'll start off with the first questions. Those of you who are watching this live, make sure you put question in brackets before you ask your question, and the bot will pick it up. Bot's been active pretty well, been doing pretty well recently, so I'm happy for it. So we got a couple questions. The first question is from Ivy, who asks, question, do you think we will get a variant of the Golem for cargo hauling akin to the Raft? I would say no.
It'll be very easy to do.
It would.
Yeah, you just swap out the attachment, but
I don't.
yeah.
That feels cheap. And
It does.
And CIG, while I can't say they haven't done that before, I feel like they don't do it often.
No. I also, the question you always have to ask, this is going to sound weird, but the question you have to ask when you're talking about will CIG do something is that interesting enough for a ship design team or designer to do? Because if it's boring to them, they won't do it. So
I don't think. I mean, they made the CSV, the CM.
The CSV was like, I think with the CSV, the reason why you see the CSV is because the CSV was designed for base building, and then they said, what else can we do with it? And somebody had fun with it and turned it into a pickup truck. And they're like, there we go. That's the same thing I think the Star Lancer had. Obviously, the Star Lancer was originally built for the BLD in mind, and they just kind of went, what else could we do with this? And then they started having fun with it and playing around with it. So if we don't already see the Golem release, or maybe even sell a concept model of that or a version of it, then I doubt we'll see multiple versions of it. Whereas like the ATLS is clear, they had to do a lot of work for it, and so it was either a squadron asset or it was a onboarding asset that they were using for the team.
What they should do really is just disable their necessity of it using the bespoke canisters and just disable the salvage or the mining bit if it doesn't have the proper containers underneath. Then you could just use it for cargo, and your fault if you're not prepared.
Yeah. Sorry, wrong pipe. Water on the wrong pipe. Simon Wolf asks, question. Get through this.
Don't die.
Try not to die. Simon Wolf asks, question. Which C-level execs have we lost during the move to the UK? Is Tony Z still with the team and active? We know that Tony Z is still on the main page of Star Citizen's, of CIG's website. His title changed to Director Emeritus, I think. So we don't know what that means. But if Tony Z wasn't working for the project anymore, he wouldn't be on the front page. There are multiple people who have left the project in that level who are no longer on that front page. I believe the vice president of marketing left. There's a lot of high level folks who left recently. Not the first time it's happened for CIG. It's happened in the past, Famously, the Austin studio, for instance, was run by Eric Peterson, Wingman Peterson, who then left to form his own company.
But isn't Tony Austin based as well? Or
And
is he
Tony
LA?
is from Boston, yeah. And
Yeah.
so the him being still on there, we don't know what it means. Based off of what I've seen people mention, the sort of emeritus position in other software companies, it's kind of like he's still on board. He's still being paid, or still being still has an office set up so that if they need his help or they have questions for him, they can come pull him out. But he's not actively working.
Consulting.
Yeah, it's sort of more consulting sort of thing. Emeritus means you're retired, yes, but CIG wouldn't have put that on as an active. So like he's an active member of the admin team or the executive team if he wasn't still working for them. So, but in terms of the number of people we lost, there's a large number of people, but most of you have never heard of them, or didn't know they existed, because most of them haven't been in the limelight. They've been sort of background people. So, yeah. I imagine the reason why Tony Z has that position has something to do with the fact that recently the PU was given to, why am I blanking on his name?
Rich Tyra?
Richard Tyre, yeah. And so, so Tony Z's position as sort of director of the PU, or part like with his like economics thing, was like it didn't really match, and Richard was taking over most of the direction of what was going on. They needed a single person in charge of the whole project. And so, but they didn't want to kick Tony out, because Tony still has a lot of skills and talent, and is also his ideas are still there. A lot of his vision for what's going on. So it's probably more like Tony wasn't actively involved anymore. But he still wanted to stick around to help him out where they need to be, as long as they paid him. So, but yeah. Like it's not it doesn't mean anything, probably not, because we haven't heard from Tony Z in several years anyways. So, and most of the ideas we've heard from Tony Z are just stuff that we know is still working on it. Quantum has just become Star Sim, and there's no changes to that. So, yeah.
Can you change my name to After Darge, by the way?
After Darge, sure.
After Darge. All right.
There you
Yeah.
go. So, next question comes from Northern Trooper, who asks, question, have you all seen the Jump Point article in the Fortune development? Why would they move away from the containers on the side? I haven't seen that.
Nope. And they have the container.
Yeah. I'll look it up real quickly, but I'll move on to the next question.
That's interesting. Is
So
is it like old like development phase stuff, or is it like where they're going with it?
Oh no, because the Fortune's already out. So
yeah, exactly.
It's the old developer stuff, like the stuff they used to do. Let me see if I can find the Jump Point. Yeah, here we go. The last one. So the original ideas. Okay, so the original ideas was that it was going to be it was going to have maybe a sealed capsule on the side, sort of. That like it would be hard. There would be hard shell shuttle bags that you would just drop down, and you like in an elevator, you'd have like the stacked boxes, the way we have it now. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I see. I'm looking at it in the Jump magazine.
Yeah.
That is. I think they just couldn't get that to look the way they. Yeah, I just don't think they could be happy with that design.
Does it look pretty much developed, or still like concept phase? Because I don't have it
Very
pulled up
much.
here.
It is the first picture that they show in like animations is it's literally just a straight box,
Yeah.
like just a square or a rectangle.
They basically just took the whole section, the part of the size you would use from a prospector out, and then they replaced that side, the all of that processing part with a box.
And it doesn't look good.
No.
And then the further iterations that they show, it's kind of just, it looks like a prospector with some stuff stuck on it, and it does not look good.
Mm-hmm.
And then they through the magazine, it goes through how they've kind of evolved closer to what.
Yeah. So it still has its roots of being a effectively.
It's not super different, but they got rid of the box on the side, which I think smart.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Next question comes.
I hope they fix it so the whole side thing works like a conveyor. So when a new box pops up, they just move out of the way. Yeah.
That's a post 1.0 visual aesthetics thing, I think. But
same with snapping to any cargo grid. Like you wanted there to be like a transition animation instead of just snapping.
Yeah. So you see it like stop and then slowly move into place rather than being like a quick just release sort of thing. Subject News asks, should the powers that be from Drake Interplanetary buy out the rights and the IP to the Aegis Reclaimer to get it into the functioning state and a manufacturer that understands the assignment? I famously said that the Reclaimer sucks. It's functional is what it is, but it's designed well before CIG had an understanding what salvage was going to be. And the interior was entirely, and the exterior was entirely form over function. It was all designed to look like a ship that would be in the Aliens franchise for the sake of looking like a ship that would be in the Aliens franchise. And then they had to fit an interior that would match that. And it just doesn't work for Star Citizen's gameplay, nor does it actually work for the Aegis design. It's such a weird outlier because it's such an early ship in its concept. So, I don't know. I think like a lot like the Redeemer, CIG has the option to figure out why this is so different and explain it away. But I also think that the Reclaimer is going to need an overhaul, exterior and interior, just to kind of match what a salvage ship at its scale should be. But similar to the Starfarer, the Starfarer had the same problem. All right. Ashral asks, with Ubisoft going under, do you think former CIG members will come back?
I didn't know Ubisoft was going under.
They're not going under particularly, but they've seen significant losses every quarter over the last couple of years. Darcy.
And there's rumors of them filing for bankruptcy soon.
Yeah.
I've kept my head out of all that garbage because I truthfully do not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all rumors and speculations, and
mostly because all of their major releases last year didn't do well. Like they didn't sell well. Outlaws didn't sell as much as they wanted to. Shadows got pushed to like just this week for release. Though Shadows is doing well. Shadows is doing well. Yeah, it's got 2 million players. It's got a really high amount of people playing it on Steam. So, Skull and Bones was the other one that was just a complete flop. Yeah, that they were really banking on. There's
a list of the haters that are hating for haters' sake.
Yeah, there are a lot of other intentions behind people reporting the news. It's always important to look at this is one of the things I even talk about with Star Citizen, because it's not immune to Star Citizen. If you try to read any content or any news about Star Citizen that's from what is it? MMORPG? What's the one? Yeah. Like, they hate Star Citizen, and they've openly said that they're huge fans of EVE, and they see Star Citizen as a failure, and they actively root for Star Citizen's collapse. They like every year they vote that Star Citizen is the worst business model in gaming, which is hilarious when they do that every year. But that's an example.
Sure. Yeah.
That's an
Objectively speaking, it is not the
Mass-
best. There
thank
are
you.
games through microtransactions earn so much more money in a month than Star Citizen has managed in its entire 13-year run.
And
It could be
and
so
It's
much
definitely
worse.
not the best.
it's not MMORPG. It's massively OP. Is what this is the one I was thinking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. So like you always got to keep the bias of the reporting you see in mind, and this is just always the case with any media, especially gaming media, because what sells on the internet is clickbait. And I know a lot of people are mad at me
You're a master of clickbait.
because I do that a lot, but I also have to regrow this channel to a point where the YouTube algorithm picks it up and people start watching it and realize that I've moved this channel over from the Astropub to its own channel. And unfortunately, that's what you have to do to get eyes because the YouTube algorithm will not otherwise promote the projects. So
It's sink or swim. You have to.
yeah. And as a result, people are going to lean into the most outrageous or the most emotionally polarizing arguments in order to get attention. And that attention leads to clicks. That clicks leads to revenue. And the revenue leads to people's livelihoods, how they get food on the table. So, that's just what happens. So the reality is that Ubisoft is poorly run. It has been poorly run for many years. The founders are notoriously bad managers. There's been lots of problems with personnel. Like the reputation amongst people working for them is awful. Ubisoft was in a bad way before the games didn't sell, and a lot of their design decisions are to blame with why people how many people, I will say this in the comments, how many people looked at Outlaws and immediately said, I don't want to buy another Ubisoft game because you saw Outlaws and immediately said, this is Far Cry 4 with a Star Wars skin because it's a Ubisoft game, and that's it's a completely different thing. The question though,
How many towers do they have to climb?
exactly, it's none. But that's the open world Ubisoft slop is what people see. And the question is that Asher was asking though was because they're having trouble, do you think former CIG members will come back in? The answer is maybe. I know multiple people who used to work for CIG who've come back to work for CIG because the companies they worked for went under or they lost their jobs. The question is, does CIG have jobs open for those people? Because CIG has even reduced its size because they closed an entire studio with LA, which has been in the process of closing for the last year rather than immediately. So, what do you think, Darsh? Do you think we're going to see people come back from Ubisoft?
Well, exactly. Is there room for them? CIG, most people who left for Ubisoft, if not all people left for Ubisoft, were on the ship team, and then CIG spent over a year rebuilding the ship team to gain back all the talent, but not just the talent, all the know-how of how to build ships back up, and those positions have been filled with skilled and qualified people, and there just may not be positions open anymore for them. Even if they did bring that talent back, um, it's it's tough. That you're not supposed to be you're supposed to be objective about these things, but people leaving like that cost CIG a lot. Well, if they had stayed, potentially the BMM could have been out in the verse by now. But everybody who knew how to make geometry and set up ships that follow the Banu language left, and they had to start from anew. And that doesn't just leave like an objectively like a gap in production. It also leaves directors and people around you jaded, like they got shorted. So yeah. you're supposed to be objective, but it's hard to be objective in situations like that.
Yeah. Your thoughts on that, CFS, if any?
I don't think I have anything I could say that hasn't already been said. If
Okay.
they want to come back is a different question to if there will be a spot for them.
Sure.
I believe that they would probably want to come back, but if there's room, only CIG knows.
Yeah. The question, like I said earlier, I think CIG has actually increased its ship team size from what it was before. So it would be a significant amount. They'd have to have a significant amount of, that'd be an additional significant amount of people. And the question is, could they bring them back, and then could they work at a pace, but be brought back on with the new tools, and then work at a pace that they were at similar to when they left, and then also make up the difference in terms of ship sales. There's a lot of questions on that end. So, Angel Wolf asks, how can I move into the Star Citizen universe fully?
Well, if you ask Tyler Whitkin, that's the plan. The plan eventually is going to be that Star Citizen will be the only thing that you play, and then you'll be able to move into the verse.
So just get a massive 3D printer, like the size of a skyscraper, and just recreate every single asset from the entire Star Citizen universe, print it, and just like get a plot of land the size of Manhattan. Just create the entirety of Star Citizen. Easy. Yeah. It'll take you like 20 minutes.
John Chavs asks, does CIG need to fill all of the holes in the ship lineups in the small, medium, and large for each game loop before 1.0? For example, we don't yet have a small, medium, or refuel or medium refuel or repair ships. We do have a medium repair and refuel ship in the Vulcan. It's the same size as about a Freelancer, maybe a little bit bigger, somewhere between a Freelancer and a C1, a Spirit. But we don't have a dedicated repairer or a dedicated refueler or a dedicated rearmor in those. Cepheus, so what do you think? Do you think we're going to need to have all of the roles have all sizes for each role?
I'm going to answer that question with a question. Do you guys want this game to hit 1.0? I don't think they're going to fill every hole. They will fill some holes. The Starfarer needs, at the very least, a rework.
Speaking of holes, there's still a hole in the door of the Starfarer that the air is just gonna leak out, and that's the only hole that I can think of right now that the question was posed.
There's a lot of holes in their ship lineup that they could fill, but if they got to keep developing the game after 1.0. I mean, that's not going to be. It's not 1.0. Okay, we're done, guys. It's time for Star Citizen 2. Like,
yeah,
I think there's going to be some holes left in the lineup. Maybe not deliberately, just they get to what they can get to. They fill out the essential ships for 1.0, and they after.
Yeah.
I think 1.0 is going to be a lot smaller of a deal.
I also think we're not going to see 1.0 for a while, and do not think 1.0 is coming out this year. 1.0 is not coming out this year. It's not coming out next year. No. It has like a super slim chance of coming out at the end of 2027, but it's likely still years and years away. And even
27?
then,
You mean 26?
No, 26.
No, 27.
End of 27.
Yes.
Yeah. I've had
over 2 years from now.
Yes.
I've had 28 in my mind. Like when I think of Star Citizen 1.0, my brain says 2020.
Well, because here's the question: what do we have left? We've got the entirety of this bounty hunting line needs to be completely reworked. You have almost all of the loops right now need to be finished, so they need to be capped off in some way, shape, or form. They need to have all of the features that are still missing, like scanning, Maelstrom, engineering. All of those need to be done, not just in a state that's sort of functioning, but finished. They have to go through and fix a ton of bugs to make sure that they're working. So like.
And there's all the guilds and the story and the mission progression. Yeah.
So it's clear that even if CIG is finished with the content and the features that are needed for a 1.0 release, they're likely still going to sit on that build for 6 months to a year to like patch up and bug fix and everything so they can get it stable enough to release it to a 1.0.
Well, that at least gives me time and opportunity to buy a new GPU eventually.
Yes. So
I
it's like all of that stuff, all the content and features, considering we're spending the first half of the year just making missions function from like missions and stabilizing the back end, and like CIG is spending at least these next 6 months taking old things that needed the tech that needed to be fixed and updating it with their new systems and making them work. And that's taking them 6 months to do that, not adding the new features, which will also be broken and then need to be fixed. So
for the amount of stuff that they have to add for 4.0, and it's not even an inclusive list. Just going off their roadmap, they've got 54 entries.
Yeah.
In the 1.0 category. Like I was kind of thinking like I'll just read these off like super quick just to like demonstrate how much crap they have to do. But even that would take too long.
Yeah.
Like it is so much stuff, and they like, it's 1.0 is a ways.
Yeah.
It's a ways.
So the answer to the question is I don't think they will. I think they're going to focus on getting their features ready, and if the teams have time to do so, because we still have to finish the ships that they haven't finished yet, like the fucking G12. The G12 is gone. The people, the Banu Merchantman, the
Starliner,
the Odyssey, the Starliner. Well, the Starliner we know is going to be released post 1.0, so like that's one of those that's a post release. There'll be some of the ships like the Endeavor, which aren't coming out until after 1.0. So there's a lot of ships and content which are going to need to be finished and up to full standard. So if they have time, they will, but I don't think CIG will.
And all the gold standard pass ships that are still missing, from the ships that are already in the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next question comes from Commander Shadowstalker, who asks, question, thoughts on the idea of a version of the Golem with an underslung cargo grid instead of the mining equipment? I think we just answered that, didn't we?
We did answer that.
Yeah. It's not just so much easier. Just don't do a variant. Just remove the restriction that it has to have the specific cargo. Because they're basically two 16 SU cargo containers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could they? Sure. Will they? I don't know. Probably not.
So,
it requires UI changes, at least.
They may also have to add like some sort of visual. They'd have to require some visual like signifier that there's some sort of cargo attachment rig.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Nashi the Neko asks. We got a lot of questions, by the way. When CIG lost those ships design team, how far back do you think it messed up how many ships got delayed as a result? Bonus, was your ship one of them? A lot. I mean, we just talked about it. The BMM is gone.
Yeah.
Like we're not getting the BMM. We'll probably get the BMM before 1.0, but it'll be a completely different ship. Like from what we saw, because there's completely different teams going to have to look at it. And I think any of the ships...
Good news, it won't look like a duck anymore.
Here's a good example. We just talked about it, the G12. I wouldn't be surprised if the part of that design team was the person who designed the G12. So like the Ranger as well. We know that they were at one point working on the Orion. We may have seen the Orion slip out because we still haven't seen the Arastra. So
yeah, and Arastra's after, right?
It was after, yeah. It's going to be 1.0, but like it was after the John Paul Jones and his crew left. So
yeah, the only ship designer that I know of that went over to Star Atlas was Sarah McCullum.
Yeah,
and that was years ago. That was years before.
She only made two ships. She made the Star
MSR?
Star Runner. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was one other ship she made, but it may have been just been the Star Runner.
And yeah, definitely Star Runner, and then she was on SCL, where she made like a concept for an ship that got named like the Overkill or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the team that left went with Paul Jones when Paul Jones got hired by Ubisoft to do something. We don't know what it is, but Paul Jones isn't necessarily just a vehicle designer, but Paul Jones actually like physically moved to Canada for the whole job.
Yep,
So
with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So may not actually be coming back, because a move like that you don't do like once every couple of years.
yeah. All right.
He could go straight to, across the street from Ubisoft Montreal to CIG Montreal.
It could. I like his designs, and I want his UFO to get into the game at some point. For those who don't know, he's constantly wanted to put a UFO in the game, and Chris kept saying no. So, you know,
A flying saucer.
Yeah.
That was the Argo, right?
yeah. Which Grim from Star Jump is designing that from scratch, live on stream too. They're doing it with them and Execute are sitting down and doing it. They created a construction ship. I want to say it's an Argo ship construction ship that has like these little arms that pop out to form a dry dock, and they retract, and so yeah. Okay, I read that completely wrong there, The Prisoner, when you said Paul and his wife wanted a new adventure. Because I'm like, what? Why are you talking about me? Like, what new adventure? What information are you getting from? And like, oh no, Paul Jones. Too many Pauls in CIG Sphere.
And Chris's, goddamn.
Yeah.
Actually, we've been whittling the Chris's down. So yeah.
And John's. There's at least 3. You don't want a new adventure? No, I don't. I'm quite adventured out. Damon 1331.
I think that was just one that was copy. But
What's up?
oh no, never mind. Disregard. Ignore me.
Did I cut out?
I thought it wasn't a. I thought that wasn't a question directed at us.
Oh,
It was coming in chat, but no, I'm wrong. He meant it.
I can see that. It might be a question. The question is, though, will they put it in sale in game quickly like the ATLS base? That's a good question in general, though. Do you think we're going to see a rapid release of the Geo? Cepheus?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because when they added the Atlas to the game, they did it alongside a change to tractor beams that heavily nerfed the handheld tractor beaming. And so they nerfed the gameplay. They implemented a solution, and then they were going to lock that solution behind a paywall, which people absolutely hated, and rightfully so. The Geo is not really doing that.
No.
You can still in-game, like with the original Atlas, you could not purchase in-game a solution to the problem that CIG created. That's not the case with the Geo. You can buy a rock, you can buy a handheld mining tools, you can get everything that you need to interact with the changing gameplay with AUEC and little AUEC at that. The Geo does not solve a problem that has been created. It just
That being said,
easy and quick. Could they? Sure. I hope they do.
The
but
Star
I
Lancer
don't think.
was added in 4.0.2 for in-game. You can buy the Star Lancer Max. And it was released in like November. So usually CIG takes 6 to 9 months to release one. So that was like what, December, January, like 3 months? Within 3 months they released it?
I think they've always said 3 to 6, but it has been 6 to 9.
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to get closer with the increased patch cadence.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to get closer to 3. I hope they dump the Atlas Geo straight into the game shops. I don't think to, but I would love it if they. But I know they did it with the Atlas because of community pressure and just that it was unreasonable.
Yeah, I mean, the CIG even said, the developers even said that they didn't see it as a ship as much as they saw it as a tool. Like, it's just a new tool for players to use. And
yeah, it's just like a handheld miner or a handheld tractor beam, yeah.
They might do the same thing with the Geo.
Yeah. I am of the opinion that I think CIG would make far more money if they at least allowed for all of their ships fresh released into the game to be rented for at least 3 to 6 months. So if you didn't own the vehicle with cash, you could rent it and try it out. Because I think that to use an example that works, every time we have Invictus and every time we have IAE, people can rent the ships for a long time and their sales go way higher. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those ship sales are people coming in, trying the ship out and going, I like this. I'm going to buy it, and just purchasing it. So if that's the case, then just mimic that success with every ship that you're selling with new cash. And I guarantee you there are people who are on the edge of buying something who are like, I might buy it. I don't know about it. And then they try it out and they go, I like this. I'm going to get it. That's,
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of good ideas in this Star Citizen community about what CIG could do in terms of marketing and selling, but that they just don't make it out to CIG.
Yeah.
Like my latest idea was just release the Squadron 42 gameplay prologue as a demo for everyone.
I could see them doing that. Like once they give us a solid release date for Squadron, then they're like, okay, if you have a game package in Star Citizen, now it's just
an account.
Just free,
just an account.
Okay,
for everyone. Yeah,
it's possible.
I could see that as a time thing. That like you have it free, you can be free to play it for a certain amount of time, and during this time release, because the one problem with it, and one of the reasons why CIG is hesitant to do free flights even today, is for the longest time people would use free flights to test their cheat codes, their cheats, their hacks. So like people would develop hacks because it's based off the CryEngine, so they would take the CryEngine, they develop a version of hacks for the game, and then they would take free flight and test using free flight
Why do you
accounts
have
to
to remind me of the reality where those people fucking exist? Why can't everybody just
not be
join
shit
things?
ass?
Yeah.
I do think that if CIG gave everyone who had who had pre-ordered Squadron 42 access to the preview to the prologue, I think that would do similar idea. The idea being like you buy the game now or you pre-order the game now and you can get this access to this, and you can even refund it.
Other than a few stability issues and stuttering and some
weird
jank,
face morphing,
it looked great. Also, they need to fix the damn motion blur because that is just atrocious.
CIG is obsessed with it though.
No, but it's just so incorrect and bad.
Yeah.
I don't mind it for cinematics when it's implemented properly, using the proper 180-degree rule and using vector motion to do properly, to properly motion blur everything per pixel. But they're doing it per screen, and they're using sometimes even larger than 360 degrees, so everything looks like it's a smeary fucking mess. It just pisses me off.
I hate it too. It's CIG. CIG's in love with that idea. I don't know why. I think it's probably to mask some shitty textures here and there. So, and low frame rate. But, CIG's also optimizing, so maybe they don't need it anymore. Tomificated asks, question, Execute would have said he talked with J. Crew and had confirmation that the Ironclad was in production for 6 months before it was announced for concept sale. Does that update your expectations? No. Let me explain why. Because if the Ironclad was updated, was around for 6 months before the concept sale, Execute also told me, based off conversation with CIG staff, all of their ships take 18 months. So if that was 6 months
that size,
especially of that size. So if that was 6 months beforehand, that was at the beginning of 2024. That means that when you get to June, you're looking at 16 months, not 18 months. and that's if it's perfect. And knowing CIG, they didn't start in January; they started in February, and
Considered IAE.
And that, because the Ironclad was actually sold at an Invictus, of last year, so you're still looking at somewhere between June and September or October of next year. So it's almost perfect for it to release to a IAE release. A little harder to nail exactly if it was going to go into Invictus. 6 months before the announcement, not the conversation. 6 months before the announcement. 6 months before the announcement was February-ish of 2024. The release of the announcement was in Invictus of last year. That's what I'm saying. Like, the 6 months before the announcement still doesn't put it at 18 months. Six months before the announcement, November? No, because the announcement was 2024. It was in Invictus, not 2023. Let me double check that.
No, it doesn't. It's a Drake ship. No, it's not gonna use escape pods.
Well, it's got
Drake's got its style like real men.
It's got the detaching.
Yeah,
The
the Ironclad was released in 2024, not 2023. I pulled up the 2023 Invictus launch week, and it doesn't have like any of that. Look it up again. $2024, yeah. Date 5. It was first sold for $450 on the May 25th, 2024.
fact check live on YouTube. Got him.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be November 2023 because if it was announced in late May, that means, which is the 5th month of the year, it means you're looking at December of 2023, and I'm sure if you're being I'm just going to do this because what you're saying is that John Crew is 100% accurate and it was exactly 6 months before. I doubt John Crew was saying exactly 6 months before it started. He's saying generally 6 months before they announced it. Remember, this is the same John Crew who claimed that CIG never said that the Galaxy was going to have a construction module, and was quickly told by the community, yes, it was, and he had to backtrack quickly because he realized he was wrong. I'm not saying John Crew is completely wrong all the time. I'm just saying taking his word as God is probably the wrong way of doing it, and taking it more in terms of the general vibe of what he was going for. Meaning, it's been in production for quite a while, at least since before the announcement, it was already in production.
But also 18 months is just an arbitrary figure for a ship that just does not mean anything. If you have to, if you're creating a big ship with existing assets, sure. But if you're creating a completely new set of assets that you're building around the ship and you're creating those assets for ships, it may as well take another 6 months on top of that. It's an outlier. It could be an outlier. It could be not. We don't know.
We don't know. And the 18 months is an estimate. Even the same person, John Crew, said is 18 months is an estimate. So, and that's an average would be my guess. So, and on top of that, the Ironclad specifically is designed to be the asset creation for the Kraken. So they're probably going to over-engineer it. And they may be going through multiple different phases for it. So I'm just saying that it's a little squeaky bum time for it to come out at the end of May of this year. That's really quick turnaround for all of those factors that come into it. So,
The Caterpillar is way too old to be sharing any assets, unfortunately.
yes.
It's a dead end of a ship.
It's literally it's the reclaimer of Drake in the sense that it doesn't make any sense as to why it's there. It's sort of just was built before they had the idea what Drake was.
They made the cockpit module kind of look like it, but it's going to be completely different in the way it's set up and in all of the assets that it's using, just because of how much CIG's ship production pipeline has progressed since the Caterpillar was made.
For those of you wondering, we've already talked about all of the ships in a 2-hour section before this, which is uploaded to YouTube. Will be uploaded to YouTube later. But yeah, we're just taking questions. And the question was specifically because Cepheus mentioned that he didn't think that the Ironclad was going to come out at Invictus, that it was probably more like an IAE. And I agree, generally speaking, because Invictus is more military themed, that I could see the Ironclad being more of a great release for an IAE. And the other thing I didn't say is that both CIG or both the Perseus and the Ironclad are almost the same size. They're similar size brackets. And CIG never releases two ships too flyable that are the same size bracket when they do a sale. They stagger those because they don't want to like cannibalize those. So.
I hate to do it to you, Paul, but I gotta split.
All right, thank you for hanging out.
I've exceeded my allotted time for this afternoon. Unfortunately,
we went 30 minutes over on top of that, so it's okay. Thank you, Cepheus.
So I apologize, but thank you for having me once again. Thank you everybody for the questions and the interaction. I've had a fantastic time today, and I hope to do it again.
Check out Cepheus on YouTube, youtube.com/Cepheus_TV, and Twitch at Cepheus_TV too, right?
Yep, that's it. I will see you guys later.
See ya. All right. So me and Darj are going to power through this because I also have pizza waiting for me. So.
And it's already tomorrow for me, so.
Yeah. All right. Escape asks, how would you like to see scanning work? Different mechanisms for different gameplays? No. I want scanning to work exactly the same across all different gameplays. Like vehicles,
you would
ground,
probably
and
want
ships.
to probably want to like have different components if you want to do different kinds of gameplay, and you have one that is like a jack of all trades but doesn't do everything very well, and then you have specialized ones, but the actual behavior of those should be the same. Yeah. But just whichever component you install in your ship, that is what dictates what you're scanning for.
I do want scanning to be specific. So I want like military scanning, mineral scanning, salvage scanning, exploration scanning,
people
scanning. There should be different scanners which are tuned for different things that you have to swap out.
Forms, the precious little life forms.
And maybe some ships have multiple slots for them. So like a ship might be able to have all of those scanners.
Like a Carrack, exploration Carrack would have,
But like a Vulture, a Drake Vulture it's a Drake ship. It's cheap. It's like we're gonna only do 2 of these versions because that's all we need, Yeah. So. All right. Next question comes from Cimmerian Shade, who asks, Cimmerian Shade asks, do you think we will see the Expanse or the Hull B this year? I think the Expanse is next year.
Hull B is just whenever.
Yes, whenever the team has time.
Sense.
They already have the C.
It doesn't make sense. We have the Hull A, we have the Hull C. The bit in between, sure, it fits, but there's no need for it.
Same with the D and E. Like they're for gameplay that doesn't exist yet. The B is because it's not a new concept, a new idea. It's more of just an old idea that they're pushing, or not pushing, but they're iterating on. Yeah. And there's also the problem that the B needs to land. So it has to have almost twice the amount of cargo that the A does and still needs to land. Because the original concept was for its cargo to be sideways So it would stick out to the
Is
side.
it?
Yeah. So it was like an X rather than like a cross.
Really?
Yeah, if you look at the original concept
I
art.
don't remember that.
And like as a result, the landing gear was really weird on the B. So there's some unique parts to it.
No. They're all in a plus
Is it a plus
configuration. I have like the
configuration?
old yeah, like the old.
I thought I
config
remember it being landed and it was like in a cross or something like that. But the B has to be able to land, and the problem is the B, as you showed off, has the bottom.
Yeah, but and I all remember the A landing, but and then when it's scrunched up together, then it lands.
Yeah. Oh, it's got a lot more than it's 64. It has 384 SCU. So they have to figure out.
Damn.
They have to figure out how it can land with 384 SCU without turning that thing into the size of a whole C in terms of its length. The pick was angled. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the cargo on the belly, and that's the problem. Is that needs to fix? So.
Yeah.
But the Expanse, I think, is they have to have a solution for finding gameplay, which I think is coming with crafting. But in order to do that, they need to have base building. So
I still want to see like a tree of dependencies, for all the features that CIG is working on.
I think they're working on that, but I don't think we'll see that until the end of the year. Because I think what they're so focused on fixing the problems that currently exist that they need to tackle that.
Yeah.
So, because it's the other things. The Expanse is also supposed to be able to handle salvage and mining, so it's like all sorts of refining.
Yeah.
Captain Catafract asks, is Paladin going to be released in Invictus? That's a hard one to tell. Maybe, but that would be a really quick turnaround, because wasn't it the concept ship for the IAE, the Paladin?
I don't know. But we also only saw keyshot renders, right?
Yeah.
We didn't see any in-game stuff that, be it white box or gray box. But even though it's based on the Valkyrie,
Yeah, it's heavy influence from Valkyrie.
It's heavily influenced by the Valkyrie. It's not just like taking a Valkyrie and just doing then putting new stuff on and you're done. But since we haven't seen any white box or gray box progress stuff, I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah.
It is not as big as a capital ship, so it may not take 18 months.
And they may reuse a lot of assets from the Valkyrie. But again, the Valkyrie is also kind of
the
old.
engines probably, but maybe the cockpit grill itself. But I didn't see a lot of other stuff would have to be at least massaged, if not redone.
I think it'll when it's getting redone. We probably won't see the Paladin until Anvil gets a good look in. Right now, it's mostly RSI is getting the big treatment, and then all of the other smaller ships are the Drake and then Misk. It's like the priority seems to be RSI, Drake, then Misk. So RSI is getting its ships handled: the Perseus, the Polaris, the Perseus, the Galaxy, and then Drake will get the Kraken because it's getting the Ironclad, and and Misk is getting the Starfarer or the Starlancer because it's going to go that assets are going to go into the Odyssey, and so we'll get the Odyssey.
But also like we discussed in the previous video, is like how many ships is CIG working on that they haven't at least teased? Like we had the 12 that we discussed.
22
from.
We've seen
on top of the 12?
No, that's part of the 12. So at least an additional
10.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
There was someone did the calculations.
Fine.
It's like 20 plus ships are in some stage of concept, white box, or gray box. With like 12 of them are just the ones we've already talked about. So.
And some already out. So.
Yeah. So they probably have more. Those people who are working on those are then rotating on new ships or working on old ships or whatever. So,
I had no idea it was that many. Oh, damn.
yeah,
Okay.
it's huge. That's why, like at the end of that's why last year we kept seeing in the monthly reports them talking about all these different gray box and white box ships, and it was like, where the fuck are these ships? Like, we have 2 different versions of the Saber Raven, and then nothing, and then that's when suddenly we got the Star Lancer and the Terrapin Medic,
Intrepid.
and the Intrepid, and all those sorts of things. So. That's why I say I think that the team was just still sort of new and learning a bunch when they first started out last year, and by the end of last year they were all up to date and ready to go. So we have 51 people on a team that are all firing on all cylinders. So
Also, thanks, phone. You're live on Twitch. I just got the notification.
God damn it! Only 4 hours late. All right, we've got a couple of questions because Stakeroo and Waffle are both asking the same question, which is, where are the alien ships, and will we get the Gatak Raylan at Alien Week? Do you want to answer this, or do you want me to answer it?
When is Alien Week?
First week of May, or first week of June.
May.
First week of June.
Oh, okay. First week of June. Oh God, yeah. Alien Week has been a bit rather lackluster. Was it 2 years ago, or was it last year that we got the Seulin?
It was 2
Feels
years ago, but
longer.
it wasn't even during Alien Week. It was during IAE.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
We've never gotten a new ship for-
Alien Week has been a bit lackluster recently. Yeah. So. I like surprises as much as any girl, but
Yeah.
I just wish they would hint a bit more.
I don't
at
think-
what's being made just for questions like this. I don't mind being surprised, but when you get asked this
Yeah.
shit on the captain's table, it's like, what am I supposed to say? It's like,
I can tell you the answer. The answer is, it doesn't matter for Squadron 42. It doesn't matter for 1.0. If the answer is no to either of those, not going to be working on it. So I think most alien ships, because they don't build the asset library for ships that they want to build on top of that, like the bigger ships that we know they have to build, they're just not going to work on them. Like, we might see the Raylan around Squadron 42, because there are Xi'an assets that we know of that are specifically in Squadron 42, but we're not going to see it before then. So,
but they also have some design language with the Seulin, so
yeah, they have some of it there. But we know that the Banu Merchantman's not coming out anytime soon. There's no Banu Trip Taker or other Banu ships that are releasing. They don't have any plan for more Tavaran ships. The ships that most of the alien ships we've seen are going to be just sort of like updates to the Van Duel designs that were still in the game. So, yeah. All right.
I mean, if they can afford it, they certainly feels like they have a lot of ship artists they could hire back from Ubisoft
If they could, yeah.
So chose, yeah.
Neon Blue Shadow asks, given the dev focus on reliability and the very real chance of crafting/base building to re-destabilize, do you really think we're going to get any of it this year versus engineering, fire, etc.? That's a good question.
I'm sorry, what?
You're
kind of
dying.
zoned out. Yeah.
We'll skip a couple questions because we're also here.
No, just repeat it. I need to zone back in.
Given the dev focus on reliability and the very real chance of crafting/base building to re-destabilize, do you think we're
What the fuck does that mean?
Basically, to break the game. Since they're focusing on fixing the game, and because base building is likely going to add more bugs and destabilize the game.
Right, okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Do you think that we're really going to get any of it this year versus engineering and fire and all those sorts of things?
Yeah, they should.
Base building is likely not going to disable.
Meshing broke the game more than base building ever has any chance to, and they just fixed it.
Yeah. Base building is not going to break the game what base building adds might cause stresses, but that's going to add stress to the mesh.
The only thing it would break is the economy, but the economy has been broken for years now. So just
it won't add the same bugs that we're already experiencing. And the reason why they're focusing on this stuff right now is, to give you an example, the ATC. If you hear Benoit talk about the ATC, it's like that one guy who he has a vendetta against, who he's seeking to just doesn't want to be in his life anymore, who is constantly showing up and causing problems. Because the ATC is apparently a pain in the ass for them right now. And it was built for 3.0. They've probably updated it here and there, but it was originally built in 2016 and hasn't really been updated much to match what was going on, other than make it work for Band-Aid for it. And there's a lot of stuff like that that's in the game that was added a long time ago, which was intended to be the final version, which has been sort of limping along rather than fixed. So the mission system,
But considering how the game progresses, like any final version is bound to be deprecated eventually.
Yes, but they're now, with their focus on 1.0, they have an idea of what that 1.0 is. And then after 1.0, they may go back and rechange some of those, because it's an MMO. Like, look at fucking WoW. WoW's done that.
There's no room for ATC in 1.0.
So they need to fix the ATC system. They need to fix the mission system. They need to, find and fix the problems and bugs with server meshing. They probably need to go back and fix the bugs that were introduced and other issues that were introduced with elevators. The cargo elevators and ship elevators. We know they have to do the transport system. That whole thing is getting completely rewritten.
Oh yeah,
the transit system. So that's really what they're doing, is going back and making sure that those things are up to date with what their vision is for 1.0, and to fix the bugs that they're caused. Will base building
itself?
Will base building break transit? No, because they're not even in the same sort of ballpark, or it's unlikely that they'll break. It could in some weird way do it, but not sure how they can get 1.0 without fixing the core systems. That's the point. So that's what needs to get fixed first before they can start adding the other things, which are apparently already in the game for Squadron 42. Like, all of the stuff that we've been waiting for is still in Squadron, and they're just being tested and worked on. It's not made the jump back over, because they haven't pulled a new build.
They have a lot more freedom to enable it in Squadron, and even if it breaks stuff, it is a controlled environment that they have a lot more control over, rather than the PU that needs to be stable for thousands of people.
Okay. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 questions left.
Can you stop the bot or something?
I already stopped it. I stopped it.
Okay, good.
I stopped it 20 minutes ago. That's why. Scissor Fuzz asks, with the focus on content/gameplay, is it actually possible to see a new system within a year? Like Nyx within a year? The answer for me is yes.
Yeah. The system is content.
The system is content. There's nothing that's being added to Nyx with Nyx that is new features. It's just a jump point. We already have a jump point. A new system. We already have a new system. Asteroid bases. We already have asteroid bases. Planets. We already have planets. Fog. We already have fog. Like,
the only thing is Delamar, which is a bespoke location,
but that's already been worked on.
That's not like modular, but they've shown it off. It's done. Yeah.
It's probably got more work to do, but it's not. That's not really a feature as much as it's just content. It's not like
more content. Yeah.
So the question is more, how many are the people who are working on Nyx? Can they? How much time do they have when they're not being pulled away from working on Nyx to help the teams out that need those immediate fixes early on? Because as Benoit kind of described it, effectively, missions, transport, or I keep calling it transport, but whatever it's called, the transit, the transit system, and the stability with server stuff. Those are the three things that are the most important things that they're doing right now. And if those teams need help, the other teams get pulled. So any other team can get pulled to them to get them to fixed. So they're the priority.
Apparently, Nyx was like the sneak peek this week.
Oh, was it?
I thought it was the city of Oz, the Emerald City, but
it might be Nyx, but there's also the spires that are on the Wicklow Emporium stations, so could be.
Maybe.
Now
it's very green.
Yes. Scanning should get there before Nyx. The thing is that they said the same thing with we said the same thing with Pyro, and they just basically turned off all of the things that make Pyro unique because they needed to get it out. The question is, will CIG do the same thing with Nyx? Will they just put in Nyx because they have it and then turn on its unique sort of hard to see features because it needs scanning later? Probably. If this is CIG we're talking about. Like, if CIG had Nyx ready and Levski ready to go with everything but, like, scanning, do you think CIG would not hesitate to just drop a new system?
Yeah. I think they already have the system that they were supposed to have scanning without scanning. So when they implement scanning, they'll just do it verse-wise.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's still possible. 100%. Question, but not really. I just wanted to praise CIG for finally lifting the arbitrary cargo cap on Valkyrie for 4.1. Yeah, it actually has 90 SCU of cargo right now. It's pretty.
I kind of understand why it had it in the first place. It's just
they didn't want it to outshine other ships that are cargo ships,
Yeah.
But. All right. Question, would CIG need to make a new hangar size for the Idris if it's released? Yes, I know docking ports exist, but there's no personal persistent docking ports, not to mention some of the other concept cap ships. So...
it fits in the extra large hangars.
Do you think it fits in the extra large hangars?
I've seen people steal an Idris and land it to Grimhex.
Okay. So yeah, the extra large hangars was probably built with the Idris in mind. But I believe the largest ship that you can land in a hangar is the Idris, right? I remember them saying that anything above the Idris would be a
docking only.
Only. So like the Javelin, for instance, isn't when you dock it, it's going to be docked, and you have to leave it there. It's vulnerable. So. That may change, but we'll see. I have a feeling that what'll happen is you'll dock it at a station and it'll just go bloop, and disappear from existence.
But it should be like a quantum thing, like as soon as nobody's looking at it, and it disappears. It's gone. Yeah.
There's several games that do that, where like the if you're not looking at something, it'll despawn it. It's just so it's gone away.
There was an amazing Sherlock Holmes game a while ago where Watson, who was your companion, would just teleport as soon as you weren't looking at him, just to his new location. So as soon as he exited your field of view, and you look somewhere else, he was just like across rooms, and it was like very uncanny because he didn't move at like a human speed. It was basically just instantaneously at a new location.
Yeah.
That was creepy.
Alcinor asks, do you think we'll get the Assault first at Drake Defense Con and then the Ironclad at IAE? I think we're more likely to get both at IAE. It could happen, but I don't see the Assault being first. I see the base being first.
This podcast has given me a huge appreciation for why CIG abhors
when questions. Yep.
I'm not even involved in it. It's just like, if it's even worse, it's like, how the fuck are we supposed to know any of this?
We can make educated guesses based off of what CIG says in the past, but it's also important to note that at any point, a CIG, the developers working on the Ironclad could have a family tragedy that they suddenly have to be gone for a month, or they find a
Or
problem with
just somehow the priorities change and they,
Yeah.
it gets shelved for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. There's anything can happen in the course of development because things can change rapidly because CIG has shifting priorities. So having an actual understanding of when something comes out is impossible. That's why CIG doesn't do when questions, because they don't know. But if they say we don't know, then people lose their fucking mind because they're like, then why did you sell it to us? Why did you do X, Y, or Z? And the answer is because I needed fucking money to keep the doors open. And they were intended on doing things, and then it never happened. Yeah. Zegarana asks, will there be any new alien ships revealed before 1.0? Possibly.
Hopefully, yeah.
I
There's room.
I don't think we'll see a ton of new alien ships, but I think we'll see a good variety of like Banu and Xi'an ships, and maybe even some Tavaran ships.
I definitely want to say Banu just because they're the opportunistic fucks.
Yeah. We already have them in the verse.
It makes sense for them. Yeah.
So yeah.
What? We already have what?
Banu in 4.1.
Yeah, Wikalo. Yeah.
I
haven't gone to him yet, so I don't know what he sounds like.
He's disappointing. I hope that I hope they redo some of it because it feels very like we got to get in the game, let's do it. But like he's not. One of the unique things that makes the Banu weird is that they have really bad hearing. So every human sounds like they're muttering to them. But Wicklow doesn't have that like I'm going to be loud because this is my normal talking voice sort of appeal. I think that's because they wanted to make sure he wasn't off-putting.
True, but it is an intelligent species, so potentially, if a Banu decides my main, livelihood is going to be trading with humans. And they have good hearing, so why don't I do something about that? Get some hearing aids or something.
Yeah. But there's also, the voice is a little too vaguely Asian rather than, that's sort of like we're going to do a vaguely ethnic sounding voice instead of like an alien voice. So, but yeah.
The accent and the voice is basically just depends on who taught this particular person how to speak human.
True. I was just hoping for more of like a West African or North African accent sort of approach. So something more like, because they're where they're based off of. So maybe something like an Egyptian or maybe even like a Arabian sort of sound, like somebody who usually speaks. I'm trying to think of a good language. I can't even think of it. Like Butu is not a language.
Farsi.
Yeah, like Farsi that is then taught English. That sort of thing. But we'll see, because he actually also apparently speaks Banu at one point in some of the lines, so it'll be interesting to see that.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
It's more like he's like muttering to himself because he's trying to do something for you. He's like, hold on, but he says it in Banu, and then he goes, oh, wait, and then says hold on in common. So it's like that sort of like where you
I love bilingualism that is done properly. Yeah.
Where you immediately start speaking in your native language and you go, I'm talking to somebody else. I need to translate back to what I'm saying here.
Yep.
So
I've done that. I haven't done it lately, but in the past, there's been instances where I just, I was with people that we were conversing with in English with mostly, and then just all of a sudden I would just say something to them in Slovenian, and I wouldn't catch it until they just started looking at me weird, and I realized, oh right, language switch.
Yeah. Someone's pointed out like a Russian speaking English learned from a Spanish speaker will not sound Spanish, which is true. A good example of that, which is funny, is my wife learned classical languages, and so she learned classical Greek from an Australian who learned it from a Scotsman. So she's like, my accent is probably all screwed up in terms of how you pronounce words in Greek. And we're not talking like an Australian, someone who's vaguely, a Commonwealth sort of accent. We're talking like Bogan deep kind of accent. And the person he learned from was like Scottish, like as Scottish as you can imagine in terms of the thick accent, like Northern Scottish sort of drawl.
By the way, can you restart your camera or share, because I'm getting a slideshow from you and I don't know how to fix it other than hanging up
on Discord?
on Discord. Yeah,
Is that better?
yeah, that's
Okay.
better.
Okay. All right, we're almost done. We got a little sidetracked, but Mopar asks, are there any other Terrapin variants than the regular medical in the lore and planned? Example, cargo variant with scanning chair removed. There's only one other variant that was mentioned in some of the material about when it was released, the lore, which was a dropship variant. There was supposed to be a dropship variant that's for special operations.
I don't see a cargo variant, because for a cargo variant you need a lot of internal space, and the point of a Terrapin is that he's got thick walls and armor.
Yeah.
Not a lot of interior room.
So yeah, I don't think a cargo. Since you could get creative with it, I could see.
I love the medical. I think more ships need medical variants, just because there's a lot of need for medical gameplay. Especially in the current lore, where there's something apparently going wrong with regen.
And as CIG wants you to, be rescued more than die in the future as the gameplay goes forward, that's going to be important. So Escape asks,
but other variants.
I can't think of anything else. Transport
No, I can't think of
variant
any.
but that's just basically a dropship variant.
VIP transport, maybe.
Because
That's where armor would come into play, right?
it is already kind of exploration one, so that you don't really need that.
Yeah.
Maybe a science variant, something that you do for like processing, like information, or like a data runner variant. I could see a data runner variant, but I've died 1,000 times. Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And he probably broke the fucking system.
He's the one who broke the system. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't go into my rant about how most people don't understand how Death of a Spaceman is going to work, but I will give the short version, which is how you have a hard health bar and a soft health bar. Your soft health bar is what you have when you get hit and you get injured, you get a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 injuries. And your hard health bar is your actual life essence, and that will go down over time every time you regen. And that how much it goes down will depend on how you died and how messed up you were, and a lot of other factors.
It's basically a number of lives in a Mario game, but with some added bonus, like echoes that deteriorate your DNA.
And there'll be other factors that will reduce your number of lives even further. But it's instead of like
increase it, just get a 1-up mushroom. Yeah.
But it can go down and go up, but it's just a bar. It's just an arbitrary metric of what how many lives you have left or how many times you can regen depending on what you get. And as a result, you could regen 1,000 times if you're doing the right things and you're all the right other things, or you could regen like twice because you decided to get the sketchiest regen place you could imagine, and you're like 4 systems over when you die. So, it really depends on the players who and how they play, and the whatever factors that CIG wants to add in there to make it more easier or harder to regen. Escape asks, what kind of weapons would you like to see worked on this year? Anything new? I think it's mostly for me, because Darsh isn't really combat. The crossbow.
Yes. The Novia Ultiflex crossbow, please.
I don't really.
I like me some stealth gameplay, so I could go with
Preacher. The Preacher stun gun.
oh,
That's the one that knocks you out.
taser.
Yeah, the taser. Yeah.
So we're both going for non-lethal.
Yeah. That's the most interesting gameplay that CIG hasn't tapped into. It's a lot more interesting to knock somebody out than it is to kill them. Because like if I was in a situation where reputation matters, it's probably going to take a less of a reputation hit if I get attacked by somebody and I have to defend myself if I knock them out and then run away than it is if I kill them. So,
Yeah. And Dr. S'mores, according to the IC, the way I understood it is that up until that point, Persistent Bolt Tech was holding them back, but that they've now solved it.
yes.
Not that that is a problem that still needs addressing.
All right. See, moving
But
forward.
ship weapons, maybe more
Beam
like
weapons.
distortion. Yeah.
I like beams.
Distortion stuff, beams. Well, we saw beams in the Vandal using
Yeah.
beams. Yeah, so that's a possibility again. And what happened to that tachyon beam, tachyon whatever,
The one that was like
that
a
was
point
on the
click.
Bano Defender.
Yeah, the point click.
Yeah, that doesn't have traversal time. Yeah, basically it's just hit scan. Yeah,
hit scan.
yeah.
I think they removed it because they didn't like the hit scan because it became overpowered. Because in a game where you have to lead your target, it becomes easy to do.
One is fine.
Yeah, I think they just need to change the power up, the charge up time, and those are the things. It's just that's one of those. I'm sure they'll look at it when they get to it, and I think one of those reasons why we haven't gotten to it is because they're still doing Maelstrom, and Maelstrom is their new damage system, so they have to figure out how that works with the damage system. All right, Nopar asks, Nautilus is a mine-laying ship, and are space mines working similar to ocean mines? So,
What's the mini game like? I forget.
So the way that the mines work is they have an area of effect which is gigantic. Like, I think it's like 30 kilometers around. So one mine can basically sit in an area, and any ship that gets within 30 kilometers, it will immediately shoot towards that ship as like a torpedo. So they're basically dormant torpedoes that have a range upon which they will fire at a certain point. And I'm sure they're stealthy in some cases, so you can't target them as much.
Until they activate, and I'm guessing that gives you like the sort of window of opportunity to shoot them down or something like that.
Yeah. So that's generally how they're supposed to work. And then there's also the mines, which are just turrets, which is effectively what we already have with the space turrets that we have with space stations, but smaller. Instead of like big honking guns, it's like size 2s. So, but yeah, so you can think of the Nautilus mines more as stealth torpedoes than mines. I don't think they work the same as like modern mines where you have to get close to them to activate them. So thus you have to have like hundreds of them to mine off an area. These are just designed to have a couple of them will cover a huge area for you. What's up?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
you hear
shit.
me? He can't hear me. Hello. Can you hear me? This has been technical problems, the captain's table.
We actually managed to get through the bulk of it pretty much unscathed.
You can hear me now?
The beginning and the end is where the problems lie. My question was going to be, does the Nautilus have mine production facilities on board, or is it just storage?
It's just storage.
To restock.
It's storage. You just need to restock. The idea was that it's supposed to be quantity or quality over quantity is the idea, so that it's like precision of placement is more important than volume placement. So as a result, these mines are going to have ridiculous range for shooting, for hitting you. Like larger than probably torpedoes do, because they're dedicated to just doing that. So you could lock down an entire region with a handful of them. But all right.
Right, gin and tonic. Unfortunately, this is my last one, but the microbrewery is just like 15 kilometers that way, and I can go tomorrow. Support local businesses, folks.
1, 2, 3, 4 questions left. I think we already answered this question. Do you think any new BA ships will be released before? I think maybe Banu ships will be released before 1.0. Yeah, I think we said.
We just talked about it. Yeah.
Angel Wolf asks, any guesses if a Squadron 42 part in the account means it's a code which I could gift to a friend? I don't think you can give away if you have like a combo Squadron 42 Star Citizen account. I don't think you can give away just the Squadron 42 section. So
it's usually part of the package. Yeah.
It's not like with ships where you can actually pull apart, you can actually like upgrade an individual ship, but you can't actually give away a single ship in a package. Like you can upgrade a single ship, but you can't give away one ship when you have a package.
If you have a separate package,
yes,
with Squadron 42, that you can give that away. Yeah. But you can split up your Squadron 42 item from your one and only package. Yeah.
No. All right, last 2 questions. Rusty Pigeon Gaming Channel asks, what are the minor updates that would the Starfarer get? Jared said on the ISC like 1.5 to 2 years ago. The minor updates that they were likely referring to is the refineries, because
and a more sensible interior.
The back 2 pods, like the front 2 pods, the 2 pods that are closest to the hull, the main hull of the Starfarer, those are refinery pop modules, and they're supposed to get the ability to refine fuel. And one of the things they said as well was that you're supposed to be able to take in Quantanium, load it into those refineries, and then turn them into quantum fuel. So there is currently no way of taking, mined Quantanium ore and processing it in a Starfarer. There's no even location where they could do that, because this is before they had the idea of it being able to do something like that. So
yeah, there's no piping involved for actually loading stuff into that from the cargo bay. There's the intake at the front that could do it, but they would need to attach some sort of
like the bag.
What?
Like a bag. Like you have to take like a mining bag or like a saddle bag.
Yeah, like a saddle bag, be able to attach it to a port on the Starfarer, so it can be maybe just like on the exterior of the actual refinery. Like you should be able to just attach it and it just gets sucked in. But
that's a minor change, like I said. That would be like a port you would attach just for a saddle bag. So.
Which would kind of make sense because it's all MISC and it's MISC saddlebags, but saddlebags, I'm guessing they're sort of like a universal thing anyway, because the mole uses an identical design.
I imagine that the actual connection point for the golems is going to be the same.
Yeah.
Even though that's a different bag, it's going to be the same attachment point.
Attachment point, yeah, it could be.
Last question is from Sheepski11. Are we going to be in retired when 1.0 drops? Depends on who you are. Retirement is until 65 in the United States, and I'm not even 40 yet, so I don't think so.
Hey, can you change my name to Dodge Emeritus?
You're not that much older than me, but
no, yeah. I am 40.
Yeah, so I'm only like 2 years younger than you, so neither of us are going to be retired. Some of you are already retired in the chat, and some of you are watching are already retired. So,
and some of you right now barely turned 18. So
yeah, that's the strange part. That's been weird part about being in the Star Citizen community is that there is a lot of people who are between the ages of 18 and 25 who play Star Citizen regularly. There's not as many content creators who do that, I will say. But yeah. Oh, right. That's the last question. Thank you, Darj, for showing up, and thank you to Cepheus. That was a lot less, but still an hour and a half It's 1 o'clock in the morning for Darj.
Yeah.
I've got to go get some pizza. And
Hope it's still warm.
I also have a date night with me, my wife. We're going to go watch The Menu because The Menu is going off of Netflix. So we want to go see that before.
And The Menu is a great movie. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. That's the reason why I want to.
It is a great movie. I love it.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to enjoy it. That's good. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this, hit that follow button on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching this after the fact, make sure to like the video. It helps out a lot. And hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. As always, I want to hear your thoughts on any of these questions down below. It does help out the algorithm. I am really pushing for subscriptions on YouTube, so make sure if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button because YouTube doesn't like to promote channels that aren't partnered. We have the watch hours, and we are at 760 subscribers on YouTube. We need to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube in order for us to apply.
Memberships?
For it. We already have memberships, ability memberships, but it's for advertisement. And that's the thing. Is that YouTube doesn't promote content it can't put ads on. So it's unlikely that I will get people who are used to watching the Captain's Table to watch the Captain's Table again unless YouTube starts promoting it more. So please do help me out there if you haven't already done so. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And then that is youtube.com/@the-Captain's-Table-Podcast. I'll put it here in chat for those of you who are interested.
I don't think you have to do the @
You do.
You do.
Yeah. Until you get 1,000. When you get 1,000 and you get partnership, you can get a unique.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still grandfather into just Darionator.
I am too. So, because like when you had to request it, so hopefully it goes out there. It didn't go out there. Oh gosh darn it! It just literally logged me out of Restream when I did that. So, thank you again for watching. There have been a suggestion on YouTube for me to post the topic of the next video somewhere to announce that topic. So I'm going to look at what I have.
Use the community feature.
I'm going to use the community feature for that. But right now, I do not believe we have a topic, but I will make sure to release a topic by the time this portion comes out, so you'll know what the topics are. I'll try to do it at least a week in advance, so you all know what the topics are. So you might be interested to come and watch us live, which we go live on twitch.tv/theastropub and youtube.com/@the-Captain's-Table-Podcast at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. We'd love to have you join the chat live as you come in. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
What are